For hemp businesses, which critics are saying could lead to the closure of several smaller operations. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman. We'll also talk with Beth Wiedower Jackson, the executive director of the Astrodome Conservancy, who will tell us about their efforts to save the iconic Houston landmark.
Plus, folks from DACAMERA will discuss the upcoming live performance of Destin Musique.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump will soon be meeting with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, but he tells Reuters they'll talk basics. In the aftermath of the U.S. military's January 3rd arrest of Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro, the Trump administration opted to support the existing government led by Maduro's deputy, Delcy Rodriguez, instead of Machado, whose party is widely believed to have won the 2024 presidential election. Trump suggested Machado lacked the authority to govern. Machado recently emerged from hiding to accept the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, something Trump says he should be receiving. Controversially, Machado offered to share hers. In his first term, President Trump wanted to keep the U.S. out of foreign conflicts. This time, Trump keeps turning to the military and threatening to use force. Here's NPR's Greg Myrie.
In the past year, President Trump has ordered airstrikes against 4 countries in the Middle East, 2 countries in Africa, and he's ousted the leader of Venezuela. Now he's talking about further action against Iran and possibly claiming Greenland. Michael McFaul is a former U.S. ambassador to Russia.
Are these military interventions enhancing our security and our prosperity and our values? And in my estimation, they are not.
So far, Trump has relied on airstrikes that can be launched and halted on short notice. He remains reluctant to send ground troops on open-ended missions. But these frequent operations are putting both U.S. friends and foes on edge. Greg Myrie, NPR News, Washington.
The president's threatening to invoke the Rarely Used Insurrection Act to deploy troops to Minneapolis. The city has witnessed a surge in immigration and customs enforcement agents in recent weeks. Last week, an ICE agent shot and killed a white 37-year-old mother of 3. Encounters are subject of multiple investigations. And yesterday, a federal officer shot and wounded a Venezuelan immigrant. The man was accused of resisting arrest. Today is the last day of open enrollment for healthcare.gov, the Affordable Care Act marketplace. This year, premiums are way up, and Congress is still deciding whether or not to act. Here's NPR's Helena Simmons-Duffin.
January 15th is the last day to sign up for coverage during open enrollment in the federal marketplace. Some state-based marketplaces like California, D.C., and New Jersey have extended the deadline until the end of January. Premium costs are double on average because the federal government is putting much less money into subsidies this year. A bipartisan group of senators is working on a deal to bring the enhanced subsidies back, but they weren't able to do that before the end of open enrollment. Government data shows signups for ACA plans are down for the first time in 5 years. 22.8 million people have picked a plan or auto-renewed so far. Selena Simmons-Duffin, NPR News, Washington.
This is NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. Houston Mayor John Whitmire says the federal government may force the city to pay a contractor embroiled in a bribery scandal. The owner of Neary Construction pleaded guilty in 2024 to a misdemeanor over his role in a larger kickback scheme to obtain water line contracts from the city. News 88.7's Dominic Anthony Walsh reports city officials have now twice delayed a final $400,000 payment for work that was completed on a project before the scandal.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, funded the project in question. Now, Mayor Whitmire says HUD told his office it would claw back up to $9 million unless the final payment is issued. Councilmembers Julian Ramirez and Alejandra Salinas, both attorneys, say they will scrutinize the legal requirements before a vote on the matter next week. Here's Ramirez.
I look forward during this break to visiting with legal and seeing what HUD says about situations where a vendor engages in bribery.
Neary Construction says this project is unrelated to the kickback scheme, and the city should immediately pay the company. I'm Dominic Anthony Walsh, News 88.7.
Students at Galveston ISD's Ball High School started classes in a brand new building this week. The campus features state-of-the-art classrooms and technical training spaces. It's being funded by a $315 million bond package that was passed back in 2022. Matthew Neighbors is the superintendent of Galveston ISD.
To think that every individual person on that campus is going to have a better experience every single day that they go to work, every single day that they go to class. I think, from day one, from the minute you step into that building, your educational experience is transformed.
Neighbors says the district is renovating the old Ball High School to turn it into a new gymnasium and aquatic center. That's expected to be done by 2028. In sports, the Rockets are back on the floor tonight to battle the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City is the best team in the league, and they won the championship last year. Houston currently sits at 6th place in the Western Conference, 9 games behind Oklahoma City. It's 50 degrees right now on the UH campus. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Charles Schwab, offering investors choices like full-service wealth management, advice, investing, and trading on Thinkorswim. Learn more at schwab.com. And from the Doris Duke Foundation.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Hello, Houston. Thanks for joining us today on Thursday, January 15th. We're glad you are here. We know that you have other channels you could tune into, but you choose to tune in to News 88.7 and listen to Hello Houston, and we're glad you're here.
That's very nice you said. I don't think we thank them enough for being here with us, because in today's day and age, we do know there are lots of choices for everything we do.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I wanted to buy Pop-Tarts for Christmas. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
There's so many choices, and yet I chose the right one. You've chosen the right show to
Just
listen
like
to.
Ernie chooses
Just like my choose
Pop-Tarts. You are choosing Hello Houston, and we have some great segments coming up for you today.
We're going to be talking about the eighth wonder of the world, or is it the eighth pain in our collective butts in the world? It has caused a lot of people either love it or want it gone.
And it's so interesting, right? Because just in our own, on our team, sitting in our pre-show meeting, we have such varied extreme views on it. Nope, tear it down. We have others that are like, no, this is a landmark. This is iconic to Houston. So we're going to want to hear from you, and you can join that conversation at 713-440-8870.
I'm sure it'll come up later on, but we're not going to have a chance to do it then. But I'm curious, have you seen a show in the Astrodome? Did you ever see a sporting event or anything there?
I never went to the Astrodome, at least not that I can remember.
Yeah.
I was born here in Houston, and then when I was about a year and a half, I moved down to South Texas. Yeah. So I grew up in Brownsville.
When I first moved here, Rodeo was still happening there.
Really?
And so I got to see, I know the Dome. And so it's interesting. It's been, I can't imagine how long it's been closed. It feels like forever, and yet I still remember. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the future of the Dome, what they should be doing with it. We're also going to take a look at Project Row House, another thing in our city that makes us proud. It's out there. They have a new program they are working on for business development, and it'll be interesting to hear how they're interacting with the community in the Third Ward to bring business there.
And I think what's interesting is we have to recognize that the Dome or Project Row House this is what makes Houston unique and special and have its identity. And so much of Houston, I think we see kind of go up and come down. So I'm a firm believer, and we need to be highlighting these projects as well as keeping them.
And another thing that's special and unique to us, chamber music with DACAMERA. They're going to be here talking about a new program they are doing, and we've got all of that coming your way. in this next 2 hours.
Yes, and today you can expect sunny skies today with a high near 60. It's going to be clear and cool tonight with lows around 45. It's beautiful out, so...
And you know what? Something we didn't mention at the top, and you giving the weather reminded me to let folks know Frank's off today.
Yeah, and he will be back.
He will be. We keep getting these things. Is Frank ever coming back?
Yes.
It just seems like, I think in January, a week or two seems like a year or two. Yeah. And so when someone's not around, you're like, are they ever coming back? It's a new year. Yes, of course.
We miss him,
we'll all be
and he'll
back
be back
together.
Yep.
Yeah. But that takes us into the headlines. What's going on in the world?
Texas health officials are proposing steep new fees for hemp businesses, a move critics warn could put many small operators out of business. Under a proposal from the Texas Department of State Health Services, manufacturer licenses would jump from about $250 to $25,000 a year, with retail registrations rising from roughly $150 to $20,000 per location, increases of more than 13,000%. Supporters say the higher fees are needed to improve oversight of the fast-growing industry. Opponents argue the cost would force many small hemp shops to close, leaving the market to larger out-of-state companies. Public comment on the proposal is now open, with final rules expected in the coming weeks. What do you think? Is this licensing fee fair or unfair to hemp businesses and hemp owners? Will the higher fees support better regulation? Now is the time to join us at 713-440-8870.
I am assuming it's out there somewhere, but I would like to know exactly the cost of this oversight and what we're getting for it, that the increase could be such a huge amount. What are we talking, 13,000% increase? That seems insane to me, and I can't help but see how it just shuts small businesses down.
Right. And, you know, when you're looking at it from a policy and public impact, that's exactly right. This isn't just a small fee increase or a fee adjustment to align with regulation. I mean, when you're jumping like that, that feels more of a barrier and less of regulatory process. And so the risk is that the state is going to weed out small businesses that are being compliant with the rules. And when they're trying to making sure that those that are not compliant with it, that are taking advantage of the system, you know, get also weeded out. And it also, to me, I was talking to you about this earlier, Ernie, before the show. This feels very in line with the political sentiment in general around hemp, is that it is legal, but we're just not sure if we trust it. It's like, you are legal, but I don't know if I'm fully okay with it. And so it feels like we need to get an alignment really there.
It makes me think a little bit of like prohibition. And I'm old, but I'm not that old. But what it was like when prohibition ended. Were people sus when it came to alcohol in that way, you know? But coming back to today's day and age, that increase just is bothersome to me at that level of increase. By shutting out small businesses, then bringing in the corporate entities that do this would have an easier time in our marketplace, pushing out the others. And then with the higher prices that it would push toward, would it bring in more of the illegal sale and all that? And so, because I think people who are going to get it still know how to get it. And getting it illegally doesn't seem as difficult as maybe it used to be. And so I think that it pushes it back into a more unregulated position than just, I go back to what I initially said. I want to know why this much more money is needed and what we get for that money.
Well, the state's argument is that the industry grew very quickly. It grew so fast that it was unable to really understand how they can regulate it. And
or how they could exploit it for more money.
And now they are looking at, they're having to go back and impose this regulation. But again, when you have this type of fee of a regulation, it feels much less of regulation and more of a problem.
One of our YouTubers brings up a very good point. Braden says, the alcohol lobby is scared of the popularity of THC. And I wonder if there's any tie, or could the argument be made the alcohol industry is pushing the government to increase those fees to shut down more THC so that people will turn back to alcohol, because drinking has gone down because people are choosing other ways to relax.
That's right. And again, we want you to join the conversation. You're listening to Hello Houston on News 88.7, and our number is 713-440-8870. Let's go to Michael from Westgate. Michael, welcome to Hello Houston.
Michael, you there?
Anything that's fun in Texas, they try to shut it down or regulate it so it doesn't exist. This is just an overt attempt to essentially shut down the hemp stores and not have anybody smoke marijuana or use edibles or whatever. And it's just in a long pattern of anything that can be fun in Texas, they'll find a way to prohibit. So it's just a blatant attempt to end the sale of these products in the state, and they know it, and we know it, and everybody knows it. And the fact is, if you want to do anything interesting in Texas, you better have a federal law that permits it, because here they'll try to ban it. And I'll leave it at that. Have a good morning, you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing. He does bring up an interesting point. It makes my mind jump to over the summer we were talking a lot about, and in the spring even, the governor and the lieutenant governor's battle over getting rid of all hemp-based products and marijuana and recreational use and all that, to do a complete ban. And so you can't help but think, okay, that never came to fruition. There were new regulations that the governor put out to kind of ease that when he vetoed the bill. But you can't help but wonder, here's yet another attempt to shut it down, as Michael was just saying. But then it goes to the big business aspect of it can function in that environment. So who's being served here by this?
Right. And again, 713-440-8870. We did receive a couple of YouTube comments, and we'll continue to monitor those.
Yeah. Moving right along, as I change my page in my script, guess what?
What?
It's rodeo time.
It's rodeo.
Well, they're announcing things. Rodeo's coming up. It'll be here before you know it, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And tickets for this year's livestock show and rodeo went on sale today. It may not be your first rodeo, but there's a few things you need to know to get tickets. I'm very confused by this, and I've done it before. And for functions we're already doing at the rodeo, they've told us we need to use the AXS website. It's going to be, the tickets are released in two different waves. First, this morning, they released tickets for acts performing in the first part of the rodeo, March 2nd through the 11th. And then this afternoon, they're going to be putting out tickets for the second part, which is March 12th through the 21st. Before I get into talking about who the artists are and all that, do you use the AXS website?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I'm new to it. You youngins know all the tricks there.
Yeah, well, when I took my daughter to the Zombies and Descendants
you
Disney
needed to get
concert,
your tickets there?
I had to get my tickets there.
For those of you who have used it, haven't used it, have thoughts on the rodeo and the lineup, which we're going to talk about in a minute, we want to hear from you. Give us your thoughts, 713-440-8870. My first reaction to the lineup, and I've seen a lot of it, is it seems to have shifted more country than it had been going in the past, some report, but there are alternate things there. A lot of the acts, I'm not a big country fan outside of the marquee country names, so I recognize some of those. Dwight Yoakam's going to be here, Luke Bryan, Chris Stapleton, Cody Johnson, Tim McGraw. I know all those names off the top of my head. And then there are ones I would think are lesser known, but I'm not in that arena.
No, Kelly Clarkson will be here. Pepe Aguilar for Go Tejano Day. That's always a big crowd favorite. Lizzo. She was supposed to perform in 2020, but the rodeo got shut down. And so she's back, and she had this big kind of video tease about it. And that's exciting because she's from here, even though she's had a little bit of a bumpy headline lately. Yeah, I guess we could say.
Creed?
Yeah,
Creed is coming.
Interesting.
There's a name
for Community Day.
That's the other thing I love about the rodeo. They have special themed days, and it always fascinates me who they pick to match up with it. Armed Forces Appreciation Day has Rascal Flatts.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. I love Rascal Flatts.
Jay Balvin will be here. Riley Green. Yeah.
Shabuzi. I don't know Shabuzi at all, except I love the name Shabuzi. So there you go. They're coming through. Who are you most excited to see at the rodeo? Is it a Tim McGraw? Are you kind of like an old school, want to see him? I saw Tim McGraw at the rodeo a long time ago. Or is it something new? Do you use the rodeo to sample artists you don't know, or do you just go to the artists you already know? How do you enjoy rodeo when it comes to the concerts? Let us know, 713-440-8870. Who are you most excited for?
I have a little trivia. So Parker McCollum is from Austin, or like the Dripping Springs area, I believe. And when I worked at the University of Texas for the Moody College of Communication, I worked with Brady Beal, who's his lead guitarist.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, super nice guy. We follow each other, and I remember they used to play at empty bars. He would, I was super pregnant. He'd be like, "Hey, Celeste, why don't you and Dan come to our show?" And now they are at the rodeo. They are all over the place. I mean, they've won CMAs, and it's so awesome to see that.
Friday, March 20th, you can see them at the rodeo. It is funny to me. I remember talking with Clay Walker and about going out on that stage in the rodeo and those thousands of fans and how so often it's seen as the crown jewel of country music to play the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
It's the biggest rodeo in the world.
It's fascinating. And the other fun thing is how they get these artists. They're not just who's on tour coming through Houston, we'll book them in. They work for a year to find the right artists. These artists sometimes just come together for this show. They may not be on tour. They're only performing basically a greatest hit show. It's a 45-minute concert. Sometimes they go longer if they want. But it's a great way to see acts that you might not see, that might not currently be touring, and for a very reasonable price.
I mean, think about this. For weeks, we have every night major headliner musicians.
20 nights in a row.
20 nights. And, I'm going to say who I am most looking forward to going to see, and my daughter recently discovered her and loved Lainey Wilson.
Really?
Lainey Wilson, yes.
What day?
I am so
What day is
excited.
Lainey?
She is Thursday, March 19th. Our neighbors, the Pipkins, love country music. And my daughter the other day was singing a country song. And I was like, where did you hear that? She's like, at Lucy's. I was like, oh, okay, you know who Lainey Wilson is. And so, yep, I'm excited to go see Lainey.
Nicole Joe brings up a really interesting point. Nicole Joe is over one of our YouTubers on YouTube, says, I'm surprised there's no K-pop groups at the rodeo this year. I'm not personally a fan, but it's so popular, and they had K-pop acts in the years past. I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah. Well, they start curating this a year. I mean, they're probably already looking at, which kudos to the rodeo team that does this. Truly, all the people that work all year long to bring this event to us. But yeah, K-pop. Interesting.
I would say, how many calls do you think have gone into Dolly Parton over the last couple of years trying to get her to show up?
Has Dolly Parton ever played it?
She has played it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she has. I know Sonny and Cher played it back in the 70s, I think. Yeah, crazy.
Out. Well, Selena had her big debut.
Big show there.
Yeah.
What else have we got? My British computer guy, been in Houston going on 4 years now, and have never been to the rodeo.
Well, you know what? We are going to be taking our show live at the rodeo. We don't have a official date yet, but we're going to be out there. So
they're courting us like they're courting Dolly Parton to come and be at the rodeo. So we'll see if we can fit a day in there. Of course, we're going to be at the rodeo.
We're going to be at the rodeo. So maybe that will be your day to come.
Jimbo, who knows everything about everything when it comes to pop culture, popped in to let me know Dolly Parton played the rodeo just once in 1978.
Wow.
And I can just imagine the rhinestones on display that night.
I would love, Dolly Parton is about my height.
I thought you say age. I was like, what are you talking about?
We're about the same height. And it's funny because I often meet people and they're like, oh my gosh, you're, pretty petite. So I can't imagine a tiny woman with just a huge personality on that stage.
Well, as RuPaul once said to me, with hair, heels, and attitude, I'm through the roof. And I think that's exactly how Dolly Parton is. Did you have a moment, a memory, something from the rodeo you want to share with us? Remember, our phone lines are open throughout the show. We'll circle back on this. It's 713-440-8870. We would love to hear your rodeo concert memories. My quick one would be Diana Ross. And they had a little tent there in the dirt off the stage, and she would run in there and change costumes and come back out.
That's awesome.
I have some other stories about that one, but I'll save that for off the air.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to talk with Executive Director of the Astrodome Conservancy, Beth Wiedower Jackson, about their efforts to save the dome. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
I'm Jeremy Hobson.
Hi, I'm Lenny Ambrose from St. Arnold Brewing Company, proud supporters of Houston Public Media. Right now, with your $60 donation, you can choose tickets to News and Brews. This member-exclusive event takes place February 17th. Enjoy a pint, connect with fellow NPR fans, and meet the Houston Public Media newsroom in person. Select News and Brews tickets when you donate at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
living on Earth, an invisible underground kingdom helps power our planet.
So we used to just say flora and fauna, but now we're saying flora, fauna, and funga. It's really important for conservation efforts around the world to embrace that third F.
I'm Jenny Doring. What fungi offer for climate adaptation and more. Next time on Living on Earth from PRX.
Living on Earth. It's on this Saturday at 10 p.m. Support comes from Holocaust Museum Houston, a cultural institution offering immersive exhibits featuring authentic film footage, artifacts, and more, focused on history, education, and remembrance. Details at hmh.org.
Support comes from Visit Galveston, presenting Galveston Restaurant Week, where participating restaurants across the island feature prefix lunch, brunch, and dinner options for a range of dining preferences. January 12th through 30th. More at visitgalveston.com.
Support comes from the Houston Automotive Show at NRG Center, featuring boats for all lifestyles, marine gear, and fishing demonstrations within the combined auto and boat event. More information on schedules, exhibitors, and venue details at automotiveshow.com. Tonight on Houston Public Media TV 8, a night of mystery and intrigue with Father Brown at 7, followed by the Sister Boniface Mysteries at 8, and Death in Paradise at 9. Tonight on Houston Public Media TV 8.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
The future of Houston's Astrodome is back in the spotlight as county leaders weigh what comes next for the iconic but long vacant landmark. With renovation costs rising and questions about public versus private investment, the path forward remains uncertain. But one group in Houston is hoping to preserve the iconic landmark. And joining us now to talk about the fight to preserve, restore, and repurpose the Astrodome is Beth Wiedower Jackson, Executive Director of the Astrodome Conservancy. Beth, welcome to Hello Houston. This is always a topic.
Thank you, guys. I'm so glad to be here, finally. This is great.
Yes, and this is always a topic. I would say that this is always such a big topic, and we get so many calls, so I'm going to open it up. If you would like to join the conversation, you can give us a call or text 713-440-8870.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, as we started talking about the rodeo, and rodeo, I remember from being in the Dome for rodeo and all of that. But I guess the, what's the expression I'm looking for? Well, I'll just go into it. Rodeo, though, if I understand correctly, and help me with this, may be part of the stumbling block in why we haven't been able to do anything with that spot. Because as I understand it, rodeo holds a 99-year lease for complete control of the park for 1 month out of every year, which would mean the Astrodome itself falls within that, and therefore they would have the ability to take control of that facility for 1 month.
There's some truth to that.
Okay,
Ernie.
help
There's
me
a
with
little
this.
truth to that. And this is one of the biggest roles the Astrodome Conservancy has and continues to play is it's kind of debunking a lot of these myths and misperceptions that are in the common, among the conversation here in Houston. The rodeo and the Texans are the tenants of NRG Park. They do have contractual rights. They have a contract with the county to that use of the park itself. The contracts are different. It's not 99 years. And in fact, those lease negotiations are underway this year and in the next few years. So the current contracts that govern the park expire in 2031 and 2032. So not coincidentally, the Astrodome Conservancy has been working behind the scenes for the last 10 years or so, but really publicly in the last 18 months to bring forth a concept to the public for conversation and discussion and engagement around what to do with this beloved landmark, because those decisions are going to be made. Ultimately, the county owns the building and they will be the decision makers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, Beth, let's zoom out a little bit. You have served as the executive director of the Astrodome Conservancy since 2018. Over this time, what has changed? What are we missing, Beth?
Right. Well, we like to say if this were easy, it would be done. We know, right? We know certain facts about the Astrodome as we sit here in January of 2026.
Yeah.
It is a beloved and revered landmark. It is Houston's icon. It embodies the identity of this great city. And we know that because the Conservancy has engaged the public multiple times over the last few years, and overwhelmingly 86, 90, 96% of the public that we're speaking to want to see this building revitalized, saved and available and open for future generations. We know the building is environmentally in good condition. The asbestos has been abated. There's no mold or mildew issues. We know it is a paid-for Harris County asset. So Celeste, Ernie, we own this building, and this is something that is a publicly owned asset. And we know the building is protected. It is listed as a state antiquities landmark here in Texas, and also has national recognition on the National Register of Historic Places. And we're working on a National Historic Landmark nomination right now for this building. So if it were easy, it would be done. It's not. And so we have spent the better part of the last decade undertaking the studies and the research and the conversations that the county is not doing. And so we as a private nonprofit entity can come in and raise private dollars, invest those in this effort to come up with solutions that work for all parties, the county and the tenants.
So Beth, where do you think that the blockage is coming from, or where do you think there's misalignment in it? Because all we ever hear about is probably worst case scenario, it gets totally torn down, and we're putting up a parking lot. Best case scenario we hear is going to be this butterfly garden. I don't know.
Is that the best case scenario?
Garden where everybody can go, and it's going to be this. The Astrodome Conservancy they envision. I was reading. Accessible to all through creative programming, innovative partnerships, and economic development. Where do we fall in reality?
Right. So this is a big project. I mean, this is a potentially a $1 billion project. That is not unusual for Houston these days, but it is challenging to bring all of the stakeholders together around a common vision. And so that's where the Conservancy has played our biggest role, is in bringing the stakeholders to the table. What are the needs and the desires of the tenants, of the county, of the public, and marrying that with the opportunities that exist for either a ground entry-level redevelopment in the first few years, or that pie-in-the-sky butterfly garden, the ideal entertainment
zone
live
that one down.
At the Astrodome. And so we get to marry those two, working towards a solution. So I think we saw right before the holidays, Harris County released the results of a study that it had commissioned working with Kirksey Architects. No surprises there. That verified the dollar amounts that the Conservancy had been working with, a little low on demolition because it didn't include creating an actual site that could be used immediately, but demolition and reinvestment. And the news out of that, if there was any, is that there needs to be private investment. And the Conservancy has been saying that for 13 years now. So what we are doing now is going out on behalf of Harris County and inviting that private investment to the table. So just this week, we've been at the table with commissioners, and we've been at the table with private investment, big investment, that want to be in the Astrodome.
I was going to say, what kind of reception are you getting from them?
Very much interest. People are coming to us. We're no longer going to them, which I have to tell you is nice for a change, because for the last decade, we've been out there rattling the cage, and now folks are coming to us, and we are putting together a very competitive proposal and package to take to Harris County commissioners for their consideration. And our goal has always been to work collaboratively and in the spirit of the Houston community for a win for the county, for the people, and for the tenants. We know, Celeste, you alluded to it, we know the tenants would rather not have the Astrodome there. Unfortunately, demolition is not really an option.
Well, that's the question I have. I just want to remind folks, if you want to call and join the conversation, your thoughts on the Astrodome, 713-440-8870. With all the historic designations you've mentioned about it, What do we have, not that we want to, but what are the freedoms that we have with the Astrodome? Can it be torn down, or is there any protections there that block us from doing that?
I would say demolition would be highly, highly unlikely. There has not yet been a property in the state of Texas under this same designation that has been demolished. So the protection is a review and permitting process. So any alterations on the building, be that power washing the outside, removing the seats, which we did in 2013-14, or wholesale demolition, would need to be applied for, reviewed, and then permitted by the Texas Historical Commission. They have not yet allowed demolition of a historically designated landmark. And so this would be groundbreaking. It doesn't mean that it can't be done. And that's a very real threat right now. Yeah. And that's why the Conservancy is asking the public to communicate with the commissioners and with our elected officials to demonstrate just how much we want to save this building.
So I guess the kind of the rub in all of that is that you have something that tells you you've got to preserve this building, but we're not giving you the money to preserve this building. We're just telling you it has to be preserved. And as I understand, it's pretty expensive on a monthly basis just to keep the building in shape so that it doesn't get mold. It does okay. A potential for development.
Again, a kernel of truth there. It is. There is no. Last time we went to the Sports Corporation, which governs NRG Park and the facilities out there. There's no line item for the Astrodome month by month or year by year. It's part of the larger facilities budget at the park, but it is very minimal. It is really very minimal. And most of the security and the electricity are rolled into the larger parks budget. And so, we hear all the time, the county's just throwing money away to keep and maintain it. That is not true.
Everything that we've touched on have all been points that just within our own team, we have all, talked about. Beth, I know that it's at this point, it's way too late, but was there any conversation around incorporating the dome to the FIFA World Cup? I mean, we have a major event coming. We have a huge space. What were the conversations around that like?
The Conservancy went deep last summer into an effort, a design effort to activate the Astrodome for the hundreds of millions of eyeballs that will be on Houston this coming summer. We talked to an internationally acclaimed photographer, a French photographer who was interested in coming, photographing Houston, and then translating that into large panels on the exterior of the Astrodome. We had support with the Sports Corporation, with the city, and with our local FIFA committee. But ultimately, as we found out with the last Super Bowl, FIFA has control. And so they ultimately nixed that opportunity to really highlight our landmark next door to NRG Stadium. And so we will not be, we have asked the Sports Corporation to clean it up a bit, and I hope that will happen.
We are talking about the future of the Astrodome, or even the past of it a little bit, to find out where we're at and where we're going. And we want to hear from you, 713-440-8870. If you slip on your headphones that are right in front of you right now, we are going to take a call from Lawrence in Katy. Hello, Lawrence. What's on your mind today?
Well, I think a good idea, and I'm surprised not many people have mentioned it, make a hotel casino complex out of it. That'd sure bring in some dollars. That's just my 2 cents worth.
Lawrence, thank you very much. We have heard the hotel. I don't know that I've heard casino part of it, but...
Well, Lawrence, we agree. We think some sort of entertainment destination at NRG Park is exactly the ticket for reimagining the Astrodome. The casinos, we're going to have to go to talk to the legislature about, because I think technically we can't do that. But the Conservancy has put forth a concept that is on our website, Vision Astrodome, and it is just that. It's not a plan. It's a concept to get people talking about what type of redevelopment could be practical and attractive at the Astrodome, and it does include hotel, retail, some cultural institutions that we've been talking to here locally who are interested. And so really a gathering spot for Houston and a way to spur economic activity in and around NRG Park.
I'm curious the challenges you face now that you may not have faced 6 years ago. We've seen so many more large facilities go empty as people are more remote and things like that. Is that a new challenge in how you develop this area, or has that not played into it?
I think the Astrodome is a little outside of that, Ernie, because of its sheer scale. Yeah. We're not talking about an empty office building or a forgotten mall. We're talking about 9 acres, column-free, 500,000 square feet of just concourse space, right? Yeah. There are few locations like this in the country. And yet, as we follow trends around stadiums and sports venues around the country, creating this entertainment destination is not unique to Houston. What is unique to Houston is doing it inside a landmark. The Astrodome was created because we have, some might say, harsh weather conditions.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And I might argue that since 1965, they've only gotten harsher.
Yeah.
Right.
So why would we tear down a landmark that is strong as an ox? The thing was so over-engineered and overbuilt because it was the first. Why would we take that away to then build new facilities to house that same type of entertainment destination when we as Houstonians can embrace that history and that culture that the building represents and have a one-of-a-kind destination in the Astrodome?
Beth, you mentioned other areas when you're looking at other stadiums. Have we seen this type of situation? Obviously, that's not necessarily a landmark, but a large stadium of sorts or entertainment type venue be reconfigured into a different type space in another city.
There are some examples. For the most part, Celeste, those sports facilities are repurposed for a different sport.
Okay.
Right? So in Portland, Oregon, we saw the NBA, the basketball arena is now a hockey arena. However, in Memphis, Tennessee, the Pyramid, which was a pretty flawed venue to begin with, but it hosted the NBA team and a variety of other sports and concerts in Memphis, Tennessee. About a decade ago, Bass Pro Shop moved their headquarters to Memphis, and they have taken that. It is a hotel. It is an observation deck. It is a scene. It's a spectacle, and it attracts
largest
people.
bass store.
Yes, and it attracts visitors, and it still allows Memphis to embrace and promote its landmark.
That brings up for me what you mentioned a moment ago in talking about the Pyramid. Also, the sheer size of the Astrodome, which a lot of people don't seem to fully comprehend unless you hear the numbers, because you think, oh, the Astrodome. Putting something in there needs to be something massive or a lot of things into it. Which way do you see the Conservancy going more? Is it a unique singular destination idea, or is it a multi-use with multiple elements to it?
I think it goes either way. And that is one thing I mentioned earlier, this concept that the Conservancy has put forth. We intentionally remain open to either side, right? Yeah. To either a primary tenant with a single use or more likely to some sort of multi-use facility. Creating a revenue stream is crucial. It's always been underpinning our efforts so that this is not a drain on the taxpayers of Harris County or the tenants at NRG Park. And so the investors that we're talking to are for-profit, capitalism at its best, and they are looking at the complete economic package here and how they can be a contributor and benefit from this investment. So I think we need to remain nimble. We started out years ago hoping that the tenants would see the great opportunity to reuse the Astrodome as either a new state-of-the-art arena for the rodeo or carnival space or tailgating space. They're choosing to go in another direction, but that is not the nail in the Astrodome's coffin by any means.
And we are speaking with Beth Wiedower Jackson, the Executive Director of the Astrodome Conservancy. If you would like to join the conversation, 713-440-8870. And we have quite a few people who want to join the conversation. Let's go to Alexander from Sugar Land. Alexander, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Beth?
Hey, friends, love your show. And thank you, Beth, for your passion for the Astrodome. I do share your passion for the Astrodome as well. It's an iconic space for the city, and I think people know our city because of it. I used to live about 1 block away from the Astrodome for a decade, and I walked around that space quite often. And one thing I constantly thought about was, where are the parks? Where is a park that's nearby that kids can go and gather and play and enjoy in a green space. And every time I looked at the Astrodome, like I imagined, what if this was kind of like indoor-outdoor combo space that involved a park, like kind of like the way we see Miller Outdoor Theater, or, you know, these big transformations where we kind of see these indoor-outdoor spaces. I know the Astrodome is much larger and there could be so many other things, but I really want everybody to think about, if you live in that area, where is the nearest park? And for me, I used to have to get on the light rail to go all the way to Herman Park or Discovery Green. There is no green spaces for kids in that area, and I think that would be a good opportunity.
Great idea.
Thanks, Alexander.
I thought about Discovery Green. What are your thoughts, Beth?
Discovery Green has actually been a great model for us. So I mentioned earlier the Astrodome Conservancy is a public-private partner. Is a private nonprofit. We are modeled after so many successful conservancies: Memorial Park, Discovery Green, Buffalo Bayou, Herman Park. Those guys have really, they've written the playbook for how to do these successful public-private partnerships. We can do the same inside the Astrodome. And so Discovery Green, which was an initial $10 million development by the city, has returned over $100 million in the first 10 years. So the ROI on that small investment, the public side of the public-private partnership, is a fabulous example.
And it's clear.
It's very clear. And the Astrodome can be that times 9 acres.
And let's go to Davis from West Houston. Davis, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Beth?
Thanks so much. Hello, Houston. My question for Beth is, if you're noticing a generational divide when you're speaking with residents, particularly those who are either young and didn't grow up with Astrodome in the heyday, and those who grew up with it, and if you are seeing a generational divide in terms of who cares about it and how much they care about it, how are you getting young folks who never saw the Astrodome be as beautiful as it was in its prime, how are you getting them to care about it?
Thank you, Davis.
Very, very astute question, and one that we are constantly in conversation about at the Conservancy. We actually are not seeing a huge fall off in dome lovers based on generation, and that is great news. I think it's a product of multiple aspects. We've got a lot of new people moving to our communities and coming from places that have a stronger preservation or community identity ethic. Folks are looking for that touch point in Houston. We also see a real interest among younger generations in mid-century modern architecture. And so that the Astrodome really embodies that, is one of the premier examples in Houston of that space age architecture and design. And then finally, we have those who have not experienced the Astrodome, but can't wait to do it again. And so we at the Conservancy, just at the end of 2025, launched a new young professionals group of supporters called the Dome Society. And we sold out our first event at Hotel St. Augustine. And we've got a really fun year of activity planned to engage those next generation leaders and advocates for the Astrodome.
713-440-8870. Paul from Southwest Houston, what's on your mind?
Thanks for letting me call. I have this is clearly, I can't imagine this is an original idea, but with that gloriously huge roof, it's with an unobstructed line to the sun, it seems like an opportunity to put hundreds, maybe even thousands of solar panels on top. I mean, NRG already has the naming rights for the stadium next door, but with all of that roof could be gathering solar energy, and we could power the whole park and maybe even the neighborhood.
Love it.
Interesting thought. Thank you for calling, Paul. I'm curious with Paul's also, as you address that, I'm curious, some of the most bizarre things you've heard people recommend for the park. There have to have been a few that have made you go, what are they thinking? Just for yucks.
Butterflies?
I'll tell you. Butterflies is up there, Celeste. My all-time favorite, and this goes back almost a decade, was the suggestion that we flood the bottom 30 feet and relocate Battleship Texas.
I kind of
love
that.
it. Wow. I love it.
All right. Let's go to Fred, who's on the line. Frederick from Northwest Houston. Frederick, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Beth?
Yes, you briefly mentioned the Texans and the livestock show. Could you expand on their thinking about the site and what they would like done with it. And just a quick thought, I was in the Dome in 2015 when it was open for a public tour. Jose Cruz, Larry Durker was there. It was marvelous. And are you planning something maybe like that again? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred.
I'm so glad you joined us for Dome Coming. We had such fun at that birthday party. That was a lot of fun. And to your first question, Fred, I'm not sure what the rodeo's plans are. I think as the public, we're waiting for them to come forth with their vision for NRG Park. We've, as I mentioned earlier, been talking with commissioners last week and this week. The rodeo and the Texans have not put forth a plan yet for what they'd like to see at NRG Park. And so the clock is ticking. We suspect that they will come forth in the next several months with their plan, which is why the Conservancy is working very hard to bring those private investors to the table now so that we've got something that can be equally considered. I think our fear at the Conservancy is that the fate of the Astrodome is determined behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a beloved landmark. It really embodies what it means to be a Houstonian, the chutzpah, the audacity of doing this. And so this needs to be a public conversation.
Flooded or full of butterflies, whichever way you go.
I just hope it's accessible to all. Beth Wiedower Jackson is the executive director of the Astrodome Conservancy. Beth, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Coming up, we're going to preview a performance at DACAMERA. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
On last week's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
And video conference arbitration and mediation services. More information available at smayerlaw.com. Support comes from Theater Under the Stars and the Broadway musical $1 Million Quartet, featuring the music of Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins. February 17th through March 1st at the Hobby Center. Tickets at tuts.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
For the next two nights, DACAMERA will descend on musique from the East, which is a live performance that's being described as a poetic and evocative interweaving of image and music, featuring French-American cellist Sonia Wieder-Atherton, as well as pianist and DACAMERA artistic director Sarah Rothenberg, who are going to be performing live alongside acclaimed filmmaker Chantal Akerman's Dest. A haunting 1993 documentary that explores the lives of people following the collapse of the Soviet bloc in Eastern Europe. To tell us more about this live performance, please welcome DACAMERA artistic director Sarah Rothenberg and cellist Sonia Wieder-Atherton. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870.
Welcome to both of you. I guess my first place to start is very prescient, it seems, what's going on here. And I'm curious, when you decided to do this program, where was the world at that moment? And how is it different in this moment that's going to make this performance resonate in a very unique way?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ernie, because actually there's a long history to this piece. Sonia Vida-Atherton, who is a close friend, fantastic French cellist who's come to DACAMERA many times. This piece, we actually performed the original version, which Sonia created with Chantal Akerman, the brilliant filmmaker, back in 2006. And then the last couple of years, Sonia had the idea that we would do it again, but she felt, due to the changes in the world, exactly what you say, that the music had to change to reflect that. The music had been, I think, predominantly Russian before. And since the images that we see travel through Eastern Europe, to do something that was more varied. And Sonia really then chose the music that we perform tomorrow night and Saturday with the film, interweaving with it. And it's a real staging. It's not just a film. There are scrims. There's sometimes the music, sometimes the images are in front of us. Sometimes you don't see us. Sometimes you only see us. It's very beautifully and poetically designed, and Chantal Akerman was involved in that.
Sonia, then tell me, how does it speak differently to you today than it did back in, I think, said 2006?
Well, there's a part that stays the same. It's the faces, it's the life of the people, it's the suffering, it's the dreams. This doesn't change, and it's even almost deeper because we have the feeling of Chantal having sort of guessed and have an instinct of something that would disappear forever, and she wanted to catch before it would disappear. So the music is really intermerges with that and says maybe what words don't say. And so the choice of musics we really did together. Then, to answer your question, it's true that since the film begins by images of a woman in a potato field in Ukraine, we couldn't play Rachmaninoff, even if there's a lot of Russian music in the show. But there was something just to say something happened, there's a war, and those women. So I chose to play a Kaddish, Jewish traditional prayer composed by Ravel, and it's like an appearance of more Eastern Europe music, especially in the first part. Then in the middle, we go back to what we had chosen with Chantal Akerman.
Sarah, I guess that really does talk to the point about how art evolves and changes and reflects not only the period in when it was made, but who we are today as a people. And I just think this is beautiful coming together.
Yeah, and Chantal Akerman has this incredible ability to make you look at things and see things. And I think one of the beautiful things about this piece, we just came from doing 2 performances in L.A. We got back from L.A. yesterday. And, these people, their faces, there are no words in this presentation. So it's left open, and you kind of find your mind wandering with the people that you're looking at. You see people waiting in train stations, people waiting online, and there are young children playing in the snow, and you think about, where are they now? She went in 1993 and filmed this, and what has happened to these people's lives? So I think it's very evocative. You can go in many different directions. And the feeling of it is one really of being in a kind of dream because
because she has a way of filming that is like music, like an elegy. She's just walking and watching and staying with people and waiting. She doesn't explain anything. It's just feeling. So I think people cannot be unsensitive and
people are moved. They can't be insensitive to what goes on. And the comment we've gotten the most actually is, I've never seen anything like this, and I was so moved. And people don't even know exactly what it is that's moving them because the music and the images work together.
Yeah. Well, I am very thrilled with it. I'm excited. DACAMERA is still out there and strong and pushing the envelope. And I love the fact that this is another layer of what you can get when we think DACAMERA, we think chamber music, but there's so much more and how it can impact you both audibly and visually.
Well, and one other thing just about the time we're in and this piece, I think it just brings us back to the human side of things. We're kind of overwhelmed with politics and we forget, what about the people, the people who are living there? And you find yourself sitting in the audience and making such a human connection to the people that you see on the other side of the world.
Beautiful. Sarah Rothenberg is the artistic director of DACAMERA. Sonia Wieder-Atherton is a cellist. Thank you both for joining us today on Hello Houston. Both Sarah and Sonia will be performing in De Est une musique from the East at the Hobby Center on Friday, January 16th and Saturday, January 17th. For more information, you can visit DACAMERA.com. Coming up, we're going to continue discussing today's top stories. We'll be back for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from the Houston Automotive Show at NRG Center, highlighting the latest vehicles, off-roading adventures, and automotive technology displays within the combined auto and boat event. More information on schedules, exhibitors, and venue details at automotiveshow.com.
A rather cool day today, although we'll have some sunshine, getting up to about 58. Clear skies tonight, a low 47. Tomorrow's high back up to about 72. It's 51. This is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling for people who obstruct immigration enforcement to be arrested. We'll discuss this and more as we continue looking into today's top headlines. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
And I'm Ernie Manous. We'll also talk with Brian Ellison, Senior Program Manager at Project Row House. He'll be here to tell us about their Business Residency Program.
Plus, it's Thursday, which means we'll also share our latest current obsessions. And we want to know yours.
That's right. Give us a call or text them to us, 713-440-8870, or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And don't forget, you can watch us live on YouTube just by going to HoustonPublicMedia.org.
Hello Houston continues right after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. President Trump has threatened on social media to take military action against Minnesota. NPR's Meg Anderson reports the Insurrection Act is a centuries-old controversial law that would give the president sweeping powers to control federal troops without the state's consent.
The president said he would institute the act if state officials don't, quote, stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE. The law has been invoked before. The last time was during the 1992 Los Angeles riots. During that use, the U.S. Marines opened fire on a home during a misunderstanding between troops and police. Since an ICE officer fatally shot Renee Macklin Good last week in Minneapolis, more ICE agents have been deployed. Community members have increased their protests of the massive surge in immigration enforcement in the Twin Cities, blowing whistles, yelling, and filming ICE officers. ICE has responded with aggressive tactics, using tear gas, pepper balls, and flashbangs to disperse crowds. Meg Anderson, NPR News.
President Trump is scheduled to host Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado at the White House this afternoon. The meeting between Trump and the 2025 winner of the Nobel Peace Prize comes more than a week and a half after the U.S. military seized and removed Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro. NPR's Carrie Kahn has the latest.
Machado has tried to win back Trump's support, heaping praise on him in media interviews and pledging to share her Nobel Peace Prize. But Trump has signaled for now his support is solidly behind Venezuela's interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, with whom Trump says he recently had a good conversation. Machado's political party is widely seen as the legitimate winners of the 2024 presidential election that then-leader Nicolás Maduro claimed to have won. Machado led huge protests and, according to multiple recent polls, remains widely popular inside Venezuela. Carrie Kahn, NPR News, Rio de Janeiro.
A Trump administration official confirms with NPR the administration is reversing $2 billion in cuts to mental health and addiction programs. NPR's Brian Mann has more.
An administration official with direct knowledge of the decision who asked NPR not to be identified because they were not authorized to speak publicly said all the grants are being restored. Hannah Wesolowski with the National Alliance on Mental Illness said care providers faced chaos and confusion.
After a day of panic across the country, nonprofits and people with mental health conditions are deeply alarmed, but hopeful that this money is being restored.
The decision to terminate the funding was reversed after the Trump administration faced bipartisan pushback. Brian Mann, NPR News, Washington.
You're listening to NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Alexandra Hart. The suspect charged in the Santa Fe High School shooting remains incompetent to stand trial. That's according to the defense attorney for Demetrius Pagorchis. He's charged with murdering 10 students and wounding more than 12 others back in 2018. Doctors at the state hospital report every year whether or not competency has been restored or if further treatment is needed. The city of Houston may be forced to issue a payment to a company mired in a bribery scandal. Mayor John Whitmire told the city council yesterday that the federal government is forcing the city's hand. News 88.7's Dominic Anthony Walsh has more.
Joseph Neary, owner of Neary Construction, pleaded guilty in 2024 to a misdemeanor over his role in a larger kickback scheme to obtain city contracts. The company is still owed about $400,000 for separate work completed before the scandal, a multi-million-dollar waterline project in Bonita Gardens that was part of disaster recovery efforts after flooding in 2015. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, supported that project. Houston Mayor John Whitmire wants the city to withhold payment. He says he's fine getting sued by the company, but according to Whitmire, HUD has threatened to claw back millions if the final payment is not issued.
We could play chicken with them. I don't think it's wise.
The city will continue to explore its legal options before a final vote on the payment next week. I'm Dominic Anthony Walsh, News 88.7.
The Department of Housing and Urban Development did not respond to a request for comment. Neary Construction did not respond to multiple requests for comment on the delay, but previously said it should be paid immediately for work successfully completed. Harris County public health officials have confirmed the first West Nile positive mosquito samples of the year. Dr. Courtney Stanley, the director of the Health and Human Services Health Department's Mosquito and Vector Control Division, says it's unusual to find West Nile positive mosquitoes this early in the year and that the unseasonably warm winter is creating favorable breeding conditions. No human cases of the virus have been reported. I'm Alexandra Hart, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. As a fiduciary, Fisher Investments is obligated to act in their client's best interest. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. This is NPR.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Welcome back to the second hour of Hello Houston. We were just talking before our last segment with Beth from the Astrodome Conservancy, and we always, anytime we bring up the Astrodome, Houstonians have feelings.
You mean your butterfly park?
I was thinking green space. I would love to see there to be
well,
more
there was
space.
That idea of doing a big walkway that looped around it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Almost like what's it called in New York City, where they built all those Icon or something. What's it called?
I forget.
But yeah, there's lots of those kind of ideas out there. But yeah, the green space is an interesting idea.
And then you can sell benches, and people can put their name on a bench. And that's how you can raise
money. To sit on. You can rent a bench seat for a little bit. Yeah, no, naming rights. Naming rights bring in a lot of money.
We did receive a text. This person texted us and says, $55 million to leave us with a hole in the ground. It seems like a tragic loss for the people of Harris County. The plan put forward by globally prominent architecture firm Gensler and the Astrodome Conservancy qualifies for historic tax credits, significantly offsetting the cost to us taxpayers. Mm-hmm. No other plan that includes demolition does that.
Your good point at the end of the interview again about it being accessible.
That's
and
key.
That it's for all. You know, we have to be careful about always doing things for the elite or the the elite or the unique, but it should be for all of us.
Or for profit. I mean, and I understand.
I mean, it will
we
have a
need to
profit
have.
element
I
to
get it.
support
It needs to be a revenue source for all involved. But I really do hope that we can come to a place where it can be inclusive as well.
I do like the text that came in. A good use for the Astrodome would be to build the Ben Taub Emergency Center there. Ooh, they're hitting on a couple different topics in
That's
that
another one. You know, the Ben Taub being expanded into Herman Park is another hot topic. And we know that people in our area have very strong feelings about it.
Yeah. I want to go back over to our poll we had up on YouTube. As we say, daily we pop up a poll on YouTube and take a gauge of what our YouTubers are thinking and feeling. You can always join that just by going to YouTube and looking for Hello Houston, or you can get there much easier. Just go to houstonpublicmedia.org and click that purple box. It'll take you there, and then join the conversation. The question today was, what's your main reason for going to the rodeo? Because we were talking about the concerts has been announced and the tickets went on sale today. The choices were not going, the concerts, the carnival, or the food. And our winner was, not going to the rodeo, 39%. Interesting. I was a little disappointed. One of the choices wasn't to hopefully see the Hello Houston team there live doing their show. But we'll be there. We'll let you know when that happens.
We'll be there. We'll let you know when that happens. Also, the park that Ernie was referring to was the High Line in New York City.
Thank you.
And that was actually thanks to our YouTubers.
Yay, they're on top of it. Yeah, they had some great ideas of creative things to do with stuff that is left behind from the last, I don't want to say generations, but I'm disappointed every time I see something torn down in Houston. And it's lovely to see that there is an organization and there is such love for this building. I wish we saw this around a little bit more. It's hard to hold on to our historic past. And so I hope that we find a good use and a way to preserve the Astrodome in a way that's respectful, but also is open to all.
I agree. I mean, I think that one of those things in Houston, we have to have intentionality when we're looking at major spaces. And Chairman Hu on YouTube wrote, investing in green public spaces like the High Line or Central Park has huge benefits for the public. Not only does it provide environmental sanctuaries, businesses naturally thrive around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very true. And last but not least, I see Earl Grey. T-Cat says, I miss when the rodeo was cheaper. Don't we all? But you know what? Everything's more expensive. But I do still think, I will say this, the price may be a little higher. It really does have a good value for it. I used to be amazed because I would go for the concerts and then I started watching the rodeo events, and they were kind of awesome to see as sporting events. So you get all of that with your ticket to the show. There's also admission tickets just to get on the grounds. There's so much. You can find a level to get in there, but it is kind of, I still think it's an economical and entertainment ticket.
And today you can expect sunny skies with a high near 60, clear and cool tonight with lows around 45. So again, some really beautiful January temps. I like that we're back to those cooler days because it was warm towards the end of December.
Yeah. Also, we were talking about how you preserve things in this city. Project Row Houses has saved the row houses, but they also do a lot more over there, and we're going to be talking about their Business Resiliency Program, and that's coming up this hour. Plus, we're doing our current obsessions, aren't we, today?
Yes.
Did we not talk about that?
Yes, we talked about it. I mean, we have coming up that, today it's Thursday. We always have our current obsessions.
I need everybody to know, current obsessions. Give them to us. Call us. Send them in. I want to hear yours. I know what mine are right now, but I don't know what yours are. So share them with us.
713-440-8870.
Let's get on to the headlines.
But before we do, we actually have a call. Diane from Memorial, who would like to talk about the Astrodome. Diane, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question about the Astrodome?
Let's just do something with it and get it over with. But if nothing else, let's tear it down, let Habitat Humanity tear it apart and use the stuff and rebuild houses, repairs, recycle, reuse.
Diane, I'm with you with your heart in this, but boy, oh boy, I would hate to see the Astrodome torn down. I'm also with you in your idea, how long are we going to be kicking this can down the road? It's been a while, and we got to figure out what to do with it. But I get, for the first time after having our guest here, I get the feeling like things are in motion, and also the freedom of those long-term leases coming up for renewal is probably going to make something happen sooner than later this time. So, Diane, thank you for your thoughts.
And I think that Diane's point sounds very practical, but then whenever you actually look at it and you put things, the put the Astrodome on a line item and you look at the finances, I don't think it's that practical to just tear it down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I still question the amount it keeps to keep it up and habitable. I think that even though they folded it into the budget for the whole park, I think there's a reason they folded it into the budget for the whole park, but I'm going to leave that right there. Okay, take us to the headlines.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling for the arrest of anyone who obstructs immigration enforcement. The comments come after a video aired on Fox News showing a suspect ramming ICE vehicles in a San Antonio Walmart parking lot before being arrested. Abbott labeled the suspect a criminal illegal alien and claimed organized groups are interfering with ICE operations. LULAC, Texas responded, saying the governor is promoting fear and militarization. There have been reports of an increase in ICE activity across San Antonio. What do you think? Should those who obstruct law enforcement be arrested? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Okay. In the broadest picture of all of this right now, I am just sad. Mm-hmm. I am just heartbroken to watch the way these stories are unfolding. I know that we want to talk about what Greg Abbott just said, but I think it's hard to divorce it from the rest of what we're seeing. And I can't help but wonder where civility went. Yes, I am not saying that, it's okay to be illegal or undocumented and flaunting, whatever they're saying. But the way people are being apprehended, the way it is you are being taken into custody before you have been processed, if that's the right word for it, before they know what your legal status is, before they know what your situation is, the fear that this is putting in communities. I am saddened by all of this. I also do not believe that we should be causing disobedience on a physical level that can harm individuals on either side. And so I know that a lot of people say, well, you got to fight fire with fire. But if you fight fire with fire, eventually everything is burned down. And we need to find a way to, those that are against what's happening, to protest peacefully, but to have your voices heard. And we need the folks that are in the communities doing this legal work, this enforcement work that they're calling it, to find a civil way, a civil, I guess that's the best word, civil way to do it, and to do it in a way that still shows respect for individuals. We're still all human beings. We still have some rights. And okay, I'm done talking. You know where I'm at on this.
Yes.
I just don't know what to say anymore. I'm frustrated.
I'm torn on this because at the end of the day, no, we should not be interfering with law enforcement, full stop. That is law enforcement. They're there to do their jobs. If a police officer pulls over somebody, that police officer has that right. That person should pull over, stop, and abide by the rules. It's the law. Also, with that, these ICE agents, the protocols around how they stop people, how they approach people is so unclear. And whenever you have protocols that are unclear, there is a lot of interpretation, there's a lot of gray, there's a lot of confusion. Right now, emotions are heightened. If I was pulled over by an unmarked car, first of all, I don't know if I would stop. Mm-hmm. I'm a U.S. citizen. My father was born in Panama. My mother was born in Mexico. They are both U.S. citizens. But if an unmarked car was pulling me over, I have nothing to run from. I'm a U.S. citizen. I have my driver's license, no problem. But I don't know if I would stop. And then if I stopped and some men started running towards my car aggressively with masks, yelling at me, I'm not sure I would act so willingly to just, oh, yes, of course, I'm going to abide by the law. I would hope that in those moments I would stay, clear-headed. But the way this is going about needs to stop. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's if our elected officials need to say, we will arrest you, because that is not necessarily
it's inciting more.
That is not bringing calm. It is not reassuring Texans to say, you are safe. We are working to make you safe. Instead, it is saying, we're going to come after you. And that is who exactly? Because we have seen ICE pull over U.S. citizens. Mm-hmm. So
We have seen, and I'm just curious, when you say the story you said of if you were driving and they were, now put your children in the car with you.
It's
what
terrifying.
are you going to do? Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And you shouldn't be terrified.
And that's another layer.
You
So
know.
if I was being pulled over and my kids were in the back, they'd be scared. I go back to the fact that we absolutely should not be interfering with law enforcement. However, we have some real questions about how ICE is going into communities, and we need clarity and transparency regarding the protocols of what ICE has jurisdiction to do.
Yeah.
Again, 713-440-8870. We do have a call on the line. Olive from Montrose. Olive, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question?
Well, number one, I think it seems unclear how it is determined by ICE that someone is so-called interfering. What is their definition of interference?
Right.
That's very unclear. It is also true that in any case, I think every American citizen, or even anybody who's not an American citizen, has the right to not come to their door. I'm understanding that ICE is now beating down doors and hauling people out of their homes. I think they're way overstepping the boundaries of constitutional protections for human beings.
You can go down quite a hole online seeing videos of these things happening. Now, granted, they are just moments of it. They are just parts of it. But you're seeing them go into homes, reach into cars, doing things that I don't think we ever would have thought we would be having going on in this country.
And I want to echo something that you said, Ernie. I myself am very sad. As somebody who's lived in other countries and have felt a lack of, I'm not sure if something were to happen, if I could trust the police or if I could trust that somebody's going to even show up, or I'm not sure about safety. Being in this country, one of the things that makes this country so great is that you can feel safe. And the fact that we are now looking at our constitutional protections, as this lady just used the word constitutional protections, is a very sad time.
I worry also. Oh, thank you for your call. I don't want to keep you hanging on the line.
Yes, thank you, Olive.
I also worry. We talk often about my mom, and she has a caregiver, and her caregiver, who was born in Texas but is of Hispanic origin, when she and my mom go out somewhere, I worry, what if Merlinda is pulled over? What if my mom can't explain who she is or why she's there? And I would assume our caregiver would be very concerned about her own self in that situation. What happens? There's so many ramifications from this because of the way it's being, I feel. And if I'm wrong, please call and tell me. If we are misunderstanding how these people are decided upon that they are going to be the target of this, because I don't see any rhyme or reason to it a lot of times.
And this is the other part of it, right? It's very easy to say, well, law enforcement, if you see what's happening from what we are witnessing, they are going into communities. How would you feel if you were in your neighborhood and I think ICE unmarked cars started coming and questioning you and pulling your kids over if you have high schoolers and it is, as Americans, everybody should want to know what is going on with the government.
Yeah. They often talk, we're getting rid of the worst of the worst. And I have seen a video of a DoorDash person who went to someone's house and ICE was following them. They ran into the house and they wanted to stay in the house, and they were a U.S. citizen. And ICE had surrounded the house. And it's just like, I don't understand the fear tactic. There has to be a way to get this under control. 713-440-8870. Linda, what's on your mind today?
Well, I'm a retired high school teacher, and I have real concerns about whether I can believe ICE any longer. I've seen too many snippets of the way they talk to people, especially since the shooting of this lady in Minnesota. And I don't, if you say you can observe them, and I think they ought to be able to be observed as I was observed when I was a teacher. There was a window in every one of our classrooms. We could not keep ourselves away from the public. Why do they wear masks? And I'm concerned that they're going to call someone who is observing them an obstructionist somehow, and then do what they will. Because what really bothers me, it seems like the authorities above them, which to me is straight up to Trump, that's where the buck stops, allows them to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Linda, thank you. And thank you for sharing your concerns with us. Let's continue on the phone, 713-440-8870. Renee, what's on your mind?
Hey there. Yeah, my issue with what's going on is that I think there should be an expectation that the police, whether it's local police, state police, federal police, or ICE, should be acting in an orderly way, which follows standard police practices of how you detain someone, or and until they start doing that, the public is going to react in a volatile way. So, now we've kicked off, it's almost like a snowball effect where it just keeps getting elevated and elevated. But if we could, I expect the officials to set the standard of how to do things right. And then I think the public would be more receptive as to what's going on.
Thank you, Renee.
It's interesting because we understand that whenever you have police officers, our police officers, specifically here in Houston, go through extensive de-escalation training.
Right.
They understand approaching, for lack of a better word, they can read the room. And ICE just seems like they are going and just full bore and full charge. A part of this is the fact that under the One Big Beautiful Bill, we have had Tony Payan discuss this from an academic standpoint, looking at history. When you have a department within law enforcement grow in a very quick way, expand with very high money and very quick recruiting, there's a lack of training in the de-escalation. There's a lack of training of connecting with the community. There's, our police officers and our firefighters and our emergency management EMTs, they go through training to learn how to be there for the community. And this seems that that's not happening here.
Yeah. Let me just go back to the phone. Yeah. So much to say about it, but 713-440-8870. Joel, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, thank you for this discussion. It's wonderful. This was advertised by our president as getting rid of criminals and gang members, and almost all the people that are being detained are hardworking people. They're construction workers, they're small business owners, they're students, they're on and on and on. And I agree with one of the commentators that said, what is the definition of interference? Is interference just watching what's going on, blowing a whistle? Clearly getting in the way of ICE arresting somebody is interference. But we're going to get down to a gray area what interference is. My last comment is that this is a classic example of, for lack of a better word, a dictator does to separate us from them, okay? And right now we're seeing a military state being created that goes after them. And with the shooting in Minnesota, I think it suggests that it's us also.
Yeah.
And so this, to me, it's a prelude to something more ominous that's going on in this country. And I'm sorry, I tend to be a moderate, but I just see this way.
Thank you, Joel, for calling and sharing that. One point that you bring up that I do want to clarify, and it's part of the problem in all of this. When you say, all the people they seem to be apprehending, you didn't use the word apprehending, but my problem with it is we don't know who's actually being picked up. We see videos of certain people. We don't know of the sheer number of people that are being picked up. Maybe the bulk of what is happening is people who have been criminals, but there's no transparency. There's no way for us to know who is being picked up, what is the reasons they're being picked up, how many have been detained that are then immediately released, how many are detained days later. There's, back again, the word transparency. So we don't know what's going on. And when there is a lack of knowledge, there is fear. And that's what they're building.
We have, and this hits very close to home, we have a family friend who has had somebody who's worked in her home for a very long time. She's a young woman. She has some type of visa, and it was in the process of getting her visas, and she was apprehended by ICE, and she has a 4-year-old son, and she is sitting in a detention center in Conroe. And this person is somebody who has never had criminal activity. She has been she comes to work, she goes home. She, again, was in the process of getting her visas, and they won't release her. She's just sitting in a detention center in Conroe. They will not allow her to see her 4-year-old son. And I think that they don't even pay for your meals. You have to pay for your own meals if you want something other than, like ramen.
Yeah. Wow. Also, I mean, there will be the argument, and I do want to hear if we are misunderstanding from what we are seeing and hearing how this process works, and you have knowledge of what we are missing, please share that with us too, because I want to get educated on how this is happening.
Arnie, I think it's very clear. We're not misunderstanding. And I understand the sake of argument to say maybe perhaps we're misunderstanding something, but I think that it's becoming very clear. And that is what, as Americans, we have to say, is that we want more transparency from our government in regards to what the protocols are. We have received a couple of YouTube comments. Charlie Parker, Texas says it's already illegal for that gentleman to do that. Don't know why you have to tell the police. The real police do their job. She probably was referring to something we were talking about earlier. Earl Grey T. Cat says it's not hard to see that peaceful protests opposing ICE are labeled violent no matter what they do. We did receive another text saying there should be no gray over some things that are not being properly reported. ICE officers do not have jurisdiction to do traffic stops. I'm saying otherwise is incorrect. I haven't seen the videos from San Antonio, but creating confusion over what officers are lawfully allowed to do helps no one.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And back to my point, it's that I want to believe that there are policies in place and that they are not articulated. Now, that doesn't justify the behavior we're seeing, but I just want to know if we're missing something in this conversation that would help illuminate the situations. I welcome that. But back to what you're saying, all we have is what we're seeing, and what we're seeing doesn't look good.
And the problem is that I think in this country, we have to have law and order.
Yes,
Nobody is saying that we should not have law and order. If a police officer stops you, you should absolutely stop. If you are at an airport and TSA tells you something, you should follow the rules. I am 100% in alignment with following the rules. We are in dangerous waters whenever we're just not sure what the rules are.
713-440-8870. We'll grab one more call. Let's go to Daniel from Ireland. Daniel, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to add to the point of training. I mean, to get these officers, supposedly officers, on the ground, there's limited training, and most of the recruiting is just from far right-wing, where just fringe groups, sort of like the Proud Boys, who are taking this opportunity to get hired and then to flex their muscles on the individuals that they actually think are a problem. So there's actually no training and no vetting and no background checks on these individuals, just because they're trying to get as many people hired and get on the ground and try to enforce their rules. And then when you don't have any repercussions, as they say, immunity to any of their actions, these individuals then have the right just to, again, put their boots on your throat and, keep you pinned down. And I don't think that's right.
Daniel, thank you for that. We're going to move quickly just so we can get some other calls in here. 713-440-8870. Rosa from Montrose, what's on your mind?
Hi, so I had a question about how we're supposed to know who exactly is ICE if everybody's going around unmasked and in unmarked cars. Since a while ago, the FBI did come out with a statement a warning saying there are some people who are not part of the ICE agency dressing the same way, in the same unmasked and unidentified way, kidnapping people, basically. How are we supposed to know exactly who is and who isn't part of this law enforcement group if they're all dressed the same?
Yeah, Rosa, that's a great point.
And we did receive a text that said, "Hi, Celeste. Julie here in Galveston. I totally agree with you in not stopping to an unmarked car. We just had someone impersonating an ICE agent and got arrested. Who knows what people are going to do?" So...
Thank you all for your calls and comments. They keep coming in more than we have time for today, but we know this is important to all of you in the community. You can continue to call. You can continue to text. You can also email us at talk@hellohouston.org. We'll return to this topic as it continues to be of concern to all of us. There's got to be a better way out there, Show some respect to people.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to talk with Brian Ellison, Senior Program Manager at Project Row Houses, about their Business Residency Program. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner Ellen and I have been proud supporters of public radio and TV for decades.
We really would be lost without our daily fix of unbiased national and local news, cultural programming, and great entertainment.
But with recent federal defunding, stations like Houston Public Media face real challenges.
Now's the time to step up.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Thank you.
On the next Science Friday, researchers are trying to untangle the mysteries of Parkinson's disease that affects about 90,000 people in the U.S. each year, and they're looking closely at environmental factors.
Air pollution, and the other is pesticides and water.
What this might tell us about new treatments on Science Friday from WNYC Studios.
You can hear it tomorrow starting at 1 o'clock.
Next time on the New Yorker Radio Hour, Jennifer Welsh, co-host of the podcast I've Had It. Welsh doesn't mind if you call her woke, but her own special kind of woke.
I think we have to go dark woke. And dark woke is being willing to say non-politically correct things to win this fight. You have to be ruthless. You have to know what you're up against.
Jennifer Welsh of I've Had It. Next time on the New Yorker Radio Hour.
Listen Sunday morning at 9.
Hi, I'm John Donvan, host of Open to Debate, where we bring you open-minded discussions and debates about the issues affecting our lives. Everything from science and tech to politics, culture, and foreign policy. In our divided nation, we feel it's more important than ever for people to be open-minded, open to disagreement, and open to listening to the other side. Join me in being open to debate.
Sunday night at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
Project Row House is continuing its work to support small, community-centered businesses in Houston's 3rd Ward with a new cohort in its Business Resiliency Program. The initiative provides affordable space and support to help local entrepreneurs grow while staying rooted in the neighborhood. Joining us to talk about this residency program and what's happening there is Brian Ellison, who is the Senior Program Manager at Project Row House. Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank y'all for having me.
And if you want to join this conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870. Before we get into it, we had a pretty powerful last segment there, and I'm curious if you had anything you wanted to share or feelings on it.
One of my favorite rappers, his name is Andre 3000.
Mm-hmm.
He says, keep your heart. And I just want to encourage people just to keep their hearts in the terrain that we're in, because it's easy to get lost in all the bad stuff. And like I was just saying, like it's easy to kind of lose faith in humanity, but there's a lot of beautiful things still happening in the world. And I just want to encourage people to also, look up to the sky and remember the good things that are still happening around us, even though we are overcome, whether it's through media, any type of outlet, of just all the negative things that are happening. Just want to encourage people to stay encouraged and to be kind and to help each other.
Well, it's funny you take it to that point, because Project Row House has been doing that for many years and helping to build within a community and keep a community strong and add to the community. And now with the Business Resiliency Program, I'm kind of fascinated about that connection, because when I think of Project Row Houses, I think of art and
Right.
exhibits.
Right.
And that. So talk a little about how this evolved.
So this is actually the second iteration of it. And we've learned through our first iteration, right?
Yeah.
All things, you fail forward, fail fast, and then you have the opportunity to learn and do it better. And so we are really excited and encouraged to have this new cohort of the Business Residency Program. And what that looks like is we have 4 spaces that are occupied with 4 different business owners where they have subsidized rent for up to 3 years, and every year they get financial literacy coaching. They just get some one-on-one business coaching. Basically, it's taking a business from this fetus stage, learning how to go through adolescence and become an adult. So by the 3rd year, you're ready to go and fly. And so, it's just a cool opportunity to become the thing that you're looking for. Everything we do at Project Row Houses is a call and response, right? So this is a direct reflection of what the neighborhood said it wants. And so we are honored and so excited to be able to provide that.
Let me just ask before we get into what it is and what you're doing. It just seems, I'm curious, who is Project Row Houses today if this is part of what you folks are doing now? Give us a better understanding of what you've evolved into.
So Project Row Houses has always been, it sits at the intersection of culture, social impact, arts, and education. But a part of that is preserving, right? And so when you think about the art of preserving things and saving space for people to be able to still control the narrative of their story, and sometimes that looks like providing the actual space, right? And we are very pleased to be able to have housing communities and where we can offer subsidized rent for tenants and for artists and for smaller businesses. So we have evolved in the way, we've evolved in that way, and where we can offer those spaces, but it's still just tied back to our original mission, just being a call and response organization. And, we are what they call social sculpture. What that is essentially is highlighting the beauty that hides in plain sight. And so that looks like seeing the beauty in somebody playing dominoes outside, someone interacting with their neighbor. We take pride in those day-to-day actions.
It's interesting because you were talking about, the small business aspect and the business residency program, and the whole, it sounds like it's a very holistic approach to giving a business leader all of the resources and tools that they need.
Correct.
How does somebody get approved, or what is the process to be one of those individuals who can get this opportunity?
Sure, it's a great question. So our process was pretty easy. Essentially, you just had to already have a business. You had to apply. You had to tell us, where you are in your business, how you see it growing, and, where you would like to be 3 years from now. And so we had a very intense interview process for those that made it to that round. And that's how we went about picking our people. We don't like to make these type of processes too difficult because we want to be open-minded to everybody's position and where they're applying from. And so that's what our process looked like, and that's how we were able to uplift and pick the businesses that we did.
So what does the businesses for this class look like this second round?
Awesome question. And so we have 4 amazing businesses. One is called Piano Vibes, and what they do is offer after-school piano lessons, drum lessons to the community. Beautiful thing about Piano Vibes is every Wednesday they provide free piano classes, and we've been doing this for a year with them at the El Dorado Ballroom. That's open to the public.
Oh my gosh,
right?
that is fabulous. Can you imagine a young musician growing up and saying, I used to take piano lessons at the El Dorado Ballroom?
Amazing.
Tell me how Houston is that.
Yes, exactly. And so to say you got your bite at El Dorado Ballroom is amazing. And then we have, those teachers are so passionate. And it's just something you can't, as a previous educator, you can't fake passion when it comes to teaching kids. Like either you have it or you don't, right? And they are so passionate about that. So we have Piano Vibes. Then we have it's called Third World Blooms, where you can go and pick up amazing, beautiful plants. She does plant arrangements. Her name is Brittany Mayfield. Amazing. Then next door to that as Be Natural, and that is a hair salon. And then we have a health and wellness space called Be Well, where they do health and wellness. And so that looks like meditation, that looks like deep breathing, that looks like yoga. She even has these machines that you can hook up to, and she walks you through this amazing journey of just healing. It is the most therapeutic thing that I'm just so honored that we're able to offer it to the community, because it's what the community needs. And I just feel like when we have these type of things, and we're not only bringing people from the outside in, but also giving the community members access to something that they probably wouldn't normally have access to.
Do you feel like the community has been receptive? Are they enjoying this? Are they showing up?
So absolutely. So we just had a ribbon cutting maybe a month ago. And the amount of people that showed up for this, you would have thought I don't know, Beyonce was in town, right? And it was just so heartwarming to see how people corralled around the opening of these businesses to support. Yeah. And those are the things that I just hold near and dear to me, because you can't fake community work, right? Some people live in theory, some people live in practice. I think in order to be successful, you got to live in both. And I'm honored to say that theory is just the idea of something, but to carry it out step by step, this is the actual practice, and I think we're really good at doing both.
Okay, I'm worried to ask this question. End of the 3 years, though, do they have to move out and go somewhere else, or do they get to stay where they're at?
They get the opportunity to move out because they will be well prepared to go and fly, because we have done all the things to make sure that they have all the tools that they need to go forward and prosper. And this is an opportunity for them to gain traction in a way that when the airplane is ramping up and about to fly off, you're ready to go. Yeah. And we feel very confident that they'll be ready to go fly.
Will it be 3 years before that a next group comes in, or will you bring them in staggering every year?
No, 3 years after that, it'll be another 3 coming in.
So whenever you're talking to these business owners and they're in the program, what kind of challenges do you see kind of regularly with small business owners?
I think one thing comes to top of mind is how do you data track? Who's coming in the door? How do we market? How do we expand our palette beyond just our community network? How do we go about marketing to let everybody know we're here? And just also, how do you just make sure you are aligning yourself with not only what's important to you, but what other people need? And so those are some of the things that I think about when we think about the conversation that we're having with the small businesses, and just feeling equipped and ready with the day-to-day things that you have to do with a business. What are you using to process your sales? What are you using to track those things? Those are some of the things that come up.
Kind of like that unfun administrative work, right? You got to payroll. You have to pay bills.
I think I need to come through your program. I don't like any of that part of it all. On a broader scope, I'm curious how Project Row Houses negotiates the tension between neighborhood revitalization and also potential displacement. As the city changes around us every single day, what are the battles you're facing on that front?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, change is inevitable, right? I think one of the most important things we can do is making sure we are in consideration and in the conversation of the change that's happening. We have to be a part of those conversations when those conversations are being had. And so we are just doing our best to make sure our voice is heard. And then the other part of that is just taking control where we can take control. We're not waiting on anyone to come and save us. We work with the things that we have, and we build from there. That's been our model, and that's what's continuing to help us thrive and grow.
Yeah. Really quickly, because we're just about out of time, I'm just curious, other things going on at Project Row Houses that people should be aware of, they can come and see and interact with?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, we have a multitude of things always happening. Some things that are coming down the pipeline. We're about to wrap up Round 59, which is happening now, so please come and check us out Wednesday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. We have a new round coming up that is going to be, I don't know if I can say it, but we have round 60 coming up, It's going to be amazing. You should definitely come. That opens up in March. We have something called Social Sculpture Saturday that takes place every other month. You can find it on Project Row House's website.
What is the web address?
I was going to say, because I would love to go to it.
Right.
So I want to know.
ProjectRowHouses.org.
And it's an S, houses. I
Yes,
said at the beginning,
houses,
I kept saying Project Row House.
Houses, ProjectRowHouses.org. Every year we have a free summer art camp where 2 to 3 weeks of intensive art making you're talking about sculpture, you're talking about drawing, painting, photography, collage. We do this every year, and we partner with the local middle school, Baylor College of Medicine, formerly known as Ryan. Those are just to name some other things.
Well, it's a great organization doing a lot of great stuff. Check out the website for so much more.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Brian Ellison is the Senior Program Manager at Project Row Houses. Brian, thanks for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank y'all.
Coming up, we're going to discuss our current obsessions. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
After a MAGA YouTuber released a highly misleading video alleging widespread fraud in Somali-run daycare centers.
This one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past.
And then Wednesday, an ICE agent shot an American citizen in her car. The battle for control of the narrative on this week's On the Media from WNYC.
Saturday at 5 p.m.
This week on It's Been a Minute, 40% of young women said they'd move to another country permanently if they had the chance. But why?
Where to start?
And on Wildcard, comedian Kumail Nanjiani.
I wish everyone could eat my grandma's biryani because I think you'd be a better person.
That's on Wildcard, and It's Been a Minute from NPR.
You can hear that Saturday at 6 p.m. Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Holocaust Museum Houston, featuring 6 interactive exhibitions in both English and Spanish. Details at hmh.org.
Support comes from Theater Under the Stars and the Broadway musical $1 Million Quartet, featuring the music of Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins. February 17th through March 1st at the Hobby Center. Tickets at tuts.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
It's been quite an hour. You know, if you haven't gone to Project Row Houses, you owe yourself a little field trip out there to take a look at all they're doing there. It's really impressive and it's great. We talked in the last hour about the Astrodome and preserving that landmark, but Project Row Houses has preserved that landmark and it's functioning. And it gives you a good idea of what it can be, what something can be, thinking outside the box. It's just not houses for people to live in. They've created a whole community center out of it, and it's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. We also were talking about Governor Greg Abbott talking about ICE and, you know, being arresting people if you are interfering with law enforcement. And we did get an email that said, ICE Today's Show tried to send in earlier. While many of us are glad to back the blue, we must realize that ICE agents are not the same as local police and do not have authority or training given even close to theirs. A Texas game warden has much more authority than an ICE agent. A Texas police officer needs to take 6 months of training. A Texas game warden is a police officer first, plus another month of training with powers of a police officer, plus additional powers related to game warden duties. Texas Park Rangers is a police officer first with 2 additional months of training and additional powers related to his or her duties. The thousands of ICE agents recruited and hired in the past year have had 47 days of training. Their powers are not anywhere near the powers of our local HPD or county sheriff deputy. So
good point. We did have a lot of feedback on that topic. We'll continue to monitor that and share it with you. And if you have thoughts, comments, email them to us, talk@hellohouston.org.
Yes.
Or you can text or call 713-440-8870.
You know, something else that people love to chime in on are our current obsessions.
Us obsessed about anything?
Obsessed. Yes, it's time for our current obsessions. Obviously, this is the time where we talk about what's taking over our life, whether that's a TV show or a book that you just can't put down. Right now, one of the top trending items is on X is the trailer for Euphoria Season 3. Have you seen that show?
My take on Euphoria is I started well, at first I didn't watch it. I was late to the party.
Yeah.
Then I started watching it because everyone was, and I was like, wow. And then I got so depressed because I thought, is this how people are today? Is this where we're at? I don't need more things to depress me. But I do appreciate the representation it's giving and the stories it's telling and the focus it's putting on things it needs to be looking at in that less televised, glamoured over experience of people. I thought it was done after season 2. I didn't know a season 3 was coming. I haven't made it to season 2 yet because I need to sleep between those episodes and rest a little. But
I think everybody, I watched the first season when it came out. I think everybody felt a little depressed after they watched Euphoria. But I also did some deep diving because I have young kids. And I'm like, is this real? It is very dramatized. It is not real. I have
I can't imagine that.
I love teenagers and I have teenagers in my life, but yes.
Yeah. So.
And we did receive a text that said, my current obsession is taking day trips with my trusty terrier mixed pup, Photon, to the many small towns between here and Austin. Thanks for the inspiration, Chet Gardner. That was from Richard from Magnolia.
And Chet Gardner is, of course, Day Tripper.
Day Tripper.
So, Richard, send us, post online pictures of you and Phantom and tag it at hellohouston.show.
Yes. Nicole Joe on YouTube said, my current obsession are the pit, kolaches, and my Kindle.
Jumping on that, my current obsession would have to be Heated Rivalry. I did. Frank was on it early and was saying, oh, you've got to watch this. You got to watch this. I'm like, yeah, Frank, whatever. And I was like, wait till it's all out. Okay, now I'm in the fan club. But what I'm more fascinated about is Rachel Reed, the woman who wrote it, because it's right now there's 6 books in the series. There's a 7th book coming out this fall, and it's all in this world of hockey and the love stories she is telling in that world. But what I find fascinating, she wrote it as fan fiction originally, and it was about superheroes. And then she shifted it to the world of hockey to get it published.
Haven't heard. I've heard of it. Haven't seen it. We did get another YouTube comment from Alex Garza. We haven't heard from her in a while. Current obsession started a new book, Baptizing America: How Mainline Protestants Helped Build Christian Nationalism.
A little different than Heated Rivalry.
A little different, but and Annie also said on YouTube, current obsessions, Pluribus and the Frida exhibit. Yes, the Museum of Fine Arts Houston has a Frida Kahlo exhibit. We're going to try to get them on to talk to about that as well.
And you, quickly, what is your current obsession?
I don't really have one right now.
Oh, come on.
I really don't. I really don't have one right now. Okay, I will say it's not necessarily my current obsession, but I am reading the book about Virginia Goodfrey from the Epstein Files.
Oh, are you reading it?
Yes, and it was. I'm drawing a blank. Nobody's Girl.
Nobody's Girl. Yeah.
Nobody's Girl. I am reading it, and wow.
Really?
It is not. It's a tough read.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's so much that's been going on. Epstein Files have kind of lost a lot of attention from folks. I see it's finally coming back into the zeitgeist. Yeah, we've got to remember that there were horrific crimes there, and they need to be looked into. On a lighter note, I'm obsessed with the game Clue right now again. Now I've got some very different versions of it. There is of course, anybody who knows me, a Downton Abbey version of Clue, where it's the Highclere Castle is the layout. And
Downton Abbey Clue.
It's fun.
Okay, my kids are obsessed right now with this game. It's a card game that my sister-in-law gave us called Sleeping Queens. I have a 5-year-old and 9-year-old. They love it. So if you have kids in that age range and you're looking for something to play with them, Sleeping Queens. It is great.
Okay.
It's a great family card game.
Good to know. I'm getting into games.
Ernie's into Heated Rivalry and Clue from Downton Abbey. I am reading books and playing card games
with the kids. And all of you have some wonderful current obsessions that I hope you'll keep enjoying. And I hope if you didn't have any of those, the hearings talk about them may encourage you to pick up some of these obsessions.
Yes. And you know what?
No,
it's
don't
that
tell
time. We've run out of time. It's the end of our show. Brings us to the end. But we want to thank you for watching and listening to Hello Houston. We will be back tomorrow with more conversations. We're going to be joined by Roderick Jackson, the director of the Houston Emergency Center. I think that's going to be a very interesting conversation. This is News 88.7. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
What I've always tried to do in my music is just tell the truth.
Who am I really? Get into the minds of some of the world's most creative people.
Totally explore